then, welcome all back to another video so soon. I didn't actually expect to be doing another one for a while, but here we are. I'm impulsive, and today's video we are going to witness a big derby day here in Spain, and I'm very excited for it. Now, I imagine, as you will probably know by the title, hopefully, unless I decide to change it after recording, which, hey, will probably happen. We are here today in Valencia to see Valencia versus Villarreal, more commonly known as the Derby de la Comunidad, or in English, the Derby of the Community. Now, it's a regional derby between, obviously, Valencia and Villarreal, and the two clubs are separated by only 35 miles. And hey, at the beginning of this so-called derby, the two clubs were friendly to each other, as they were always historically in different divisions, with Valencia being the top dogs of Spanish football in the not only in the country but in the region, and Villarreal being historically a lower division side, being probably second, third, fourth, roughly. Now, however, that changed in 1997 because a billionaire named Fernando Roig was unable to succeed his brother in owning Valencia, and instead he opted to buy Villarreal, who at the time were obviously relatively unknown, but over time and with a lot of investment into Villarreal, a lot of investment by the billionaire, Villarreal are now suddenly challenging Valencia to see who will be the supreme team in this region and who will be the biggest and best club. Now, historically, it's easy to say Valencia will most likely stay the biggest team in the region based off of the amount of La Liga titles they've won, the European Cups they've won. They won the Ballon d'Or award for best club in the world, I believe, in 2004. Now, if I'm wrong, that is my memory's fault. But hey, it's not the end of the world. We're not here to be 100% correct all the time. We're just here to enjoy football and try and give some facts about it, so it's not the end of the world. Now, even with Valencia's success in the Spanish divisions, in the Spanish Cups, in European Cups as well, and also on a global stage, as I've just stated, this game today, it basically means that it's one of the most important games for both the club and the region each season in Spanish football, as it's just a chance for each side to decide who is the biggest and best club. Now, I know that's a bit mean on Levante, with them being the main derby in Valencia due to both clubs being separated by an hour walk or so by their stadiums. But hey, unfortunately, as the tie goes, Villarreal were just lucky in a sense, in the way of they actually got an owner in that was able to splash so much cash. And hey, that's no shade on Levante or any of the owners, but it would have been great if all three teams were in this together. But no, Valencia and Villarreal, that's a big derby. Not as big and not as fierce as the Levante derby with Valencia, but that doesn't matter. Now, both clubs have met each other multiple times, obviously, as they both play in the same division now. But two of the most notable ones were in the UEFA Cup, more commonly known as the Europa League nowadays, where they first met in 2004 in the semi-finals, and then again in 2019 in the quarter-finals, both won by Valencia. But that's a good sign for a club like Villarreal, especially after coming through the last 20 years or so, 30 years, coming from the lower tiers to be able to compete with Valencia and with other clubs in Spain and in Europe. It's only hopefully a sign for maybe the tide to changing in terms of matches. But I still believe the biggest way to deem how big a club is in the region, especially between two fierce rivals, is through trophies. But hey, it's just my opinion. Now, going into a head-to-head between the two clubs, they've played each other 61 times over the history of the two teams. Valencia have won 25 of those 61 games, with 14 of them ending in draws, and Villarreal only winning 22. So, Valencia still have bragging rights as it is, just because of 3 games. But hey, who knows, that could all change today. It could go down to 2, it could be extended up into Valencia's favour, or it could be a draw, we don't know. Now, You join me here today in Valencia on a very, very lovely day. Sun's out. I couldn't think of a worse day for football to be happening, to be honest. Now, the game is tonight at 9 o'clock my time, 8 o'clock English time. So, what are we going to do in the meantime, I hear you ask? Well, Elche are playing away at Espanyol today, and as you remember from the last video, I am very fond of Elche. So, we will be finding a little pub to sit down in later, most likely just before the game. Have a couple of drinks, watch the game, see how it goes. Hopefully, Elche will win, and I'm always going to try and bring Elche into these conversations. Also, being a rival of Valencia, shockingly. But hey, enough of the chit chat. Let's skip forward to me in the future, hopefully in a nice pub, watching the football, and then I can maybe give a couple of players to look out for, a couple of players to watch. Yeah, again, it'll be interesting because both teams have some really, really good players on their books. So I will see you in the future.
All right then, well, currently I'm on the way to find a bar to watch the second half of the Elche game, as I decided to watch Harlequins versus Newcastle in the league, and thankfully Quins are currently 35 points to 0 up. We'll be keeping score of that match whilst the day goes on, but I thought it should be quite funny to show. We're already at the stadium, ladies and gentlemen. Purely just on the way to try and find a sports bar, hopefully. That isn't too far out of walking distance to here. That I cannot be bothered later to do. So, yes. It's a lovely stadium, I have to say. It's not too shabby. Let's get a proper video of it later when it's closer to match kickoff. Come on. Well, as it's currently still half time in the Elche game, and it's 0-0 versus Espanyol, which is a very good result. Currently, I would like a win, but hey, points are points, and that's what keeps you in the league. But no, we're currently walking around the Mestalla as I am spotting a bunch of booths and such open, and I thought it'd be quite cool to go check them out. And Quins have got 2 tries already in the second half, 55th minute in, and we're 47-0 up. It's a good day for sports today. As long as Liverpool bring it home later away at Brentford at the G-Tech, I couldn't imagine a worse afternoon of sports results, especially after the batterings last week of Quins and Liverpool losing to Man United. At least Elche got a result out of it, which if you said a year ago that'd be the case, I would not believe you. But yes, let's go check out the stalls in front of the stadium. I may have just got ahead of myself a little bit there, as it seems to only be flags and sweets, and I am currently trying not to eat as much junk food as possible, and I don't particularly at this moment in time want to own a Valencia scarf and or flag due to my supportingness of that's not a word at all, due to my love of Elche. So I suppose we're just going to ignore it. But hey, who knows? Come the end of the season, one thing I do want to do is start collecting shirts from places that I've been to or lived in. So I feel like a Valencia shirt might be on the horizon in later times. Although it take a lot of mental turmoil and thinking, as Elche do form such a key part of my life. But hey, who knows? I see another shop over there, just in the near distance, which looks quite cool. But hey, goodness knows, eh? Goodness knows. And there's a quite cool little La Liga booth thing there. But yes, no, seems to be picking up a little bit. Obviously, not many fans out here currently, as it is, around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and kickoff's not for another 4 hours. But the police are setting up, which I'm not surprised about, as it is a derby day. And yeah, I can only apologise for if my finger got in the way there, as 0.5 does that to you. Trying to hold a phone the wrong way around without seeing also doesn't help. All right then, another check-in very, very quickly after the last one. Oh crikey, that's not nice. The wind's not going to be my friend today, is it? The bar that I was planning to go to, which always has football on, whenever I walk past it, there's football. TVs are off. So suppose we've got to walk down to the initial bar that I do enjoy going to see if I can catch any semblance of the Elche game at this rate. And hey, I've been in there a couple of times to watch Quins play, so you never know, there might be a couple of TVs on that will allow me to watch both the rugby and the football at the same time. Fingers crossed. But no, yeah, it's a bit of a failure of a trek. Took me longer to walk to that bar than it would have taken for me to walk to my normal bar. So it's not the end of the world. It's only a 10-minute walk from here, but we move, and I will catch you guys in the next bar where we will be doing our plays to watch and such. And there are a couple. Won't be going into a deep facts about the players today, as don't really know much about them, and unfortunately I don't have any of my trusty notes on me today, which keeps all the facts and figures on. So we're going to go into it blind and sort of waffle, I suppose, a bit about a couple of players that I quite like the look of in the Valencia and Villarreal teams still together. But yes, until then, cut to me in the bar. Hey. All right then. Well, we have touchdown in the pub. Hopefully the music isn't too loud and you can still hear me perfectly fine. We have not been able to locate either Elche or Quins today, as both Chelsea and Fulham games are more important. So not the end of the world, but they will also have the Sharks versus Scarlets on in the URC. So it's a bit of a shame that they can't put the Quins or Elche game on, but it's not the end of the world, because we're not here really to watch it. As much of a Brucey bonus as that would be, it's not going to happen, unfortunately. But hey, now onto the players that I want to look out for and watch, that I've also enjoyed the last couple of years. First one is Valencia central midfielder Pepelu. He joined the club a couple of years ago, funnily enough, from arch rivals Levante, and that caused quite a bit of stir here in Valencia, as obviously the Levante fans hated him after that, as a fairly young midfielder, and Valencia fans now love him for coming over to their side. He seems like a very, very good player from the limited games I've seen him play for Valencia over my time, but he's one of those to look forward to. Same with Javier Guerra. Yeah, he's the other central midfielder for Valencia, also another young Spanish centre mid who does also look very promising as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing both of those hopefully in the centre of the pitch later, controlling the game. Then we've also got Ramazani, who's on loan from Leeds currently at Valencia, who I'm very excited to see play. It's a shame that he wasn't given any time to play in Leeds this season in the Premier League, but hey, all part of the development, and if he could show how much of a talent he is here in La Liga at Valencia, then there'd be no doubt in my mind that he will be Leeds' starting winger next season, so can't complain about that. Now, onto the Villarreal side. They've got a couple of good players, most notably Danny Parejo, who anybody who plays FIFA or enjoys FIFA out there will know him as a cult hero, as someone you never want to pack because he is atrocious. But he always seems to be a walkout up until the last couple of years, where he's luckily gone back down to boards, so every time you get a walkout, you don't have to care about it. But no, Parejo was he was an ex-Valencia player, funnily enough. I believe he was a club captain for a number of years, won many trophies at the club. And then in, I believe, 2022, if it's correct off the top of my head, he switched allegiances over to Villarreal, which obviously wasn't well received by the Valencia faithful, considering he was basically a club legend at the time. And I'd still class him as one of the best centre mids to play for Valencia. But hey, haven't actually looked that far into club history. And then also we got Nicolas Pepe, ex-Arsenal player, was a bit of a flop, if everybody remembers, but his time at Lille in 2018-19 season, 18-19 season was incredible, which did earn him that 70 million plus move to Arsenal. Just a shame his career never kicked off from there, but as far as I'm aware, I think he's doing a good job over at Villarreal currently. So it'll be exciting to see how he plays, to see if he actually is that flop that I last saw in the Premier League. And then the last player I'm going to put a little bit of a little look out for is Renato Vega, obviously currently on loan from Elche over at Villarreal. Did just win the Nations League with Portugal, and he does seem to be a very, very great young player. I believe he spent last season on loan at Juventus, and honestly, couldn't tell you if he performed well or not. Unfortunately, we're not having a deep dive into the stats and the players' histories as we had last week for Elche versus Bilbao. But hey, it's not the end of the world because we're here for the football. We're not really here for my footballing opinions, even though some of them are quite awful. But yeah, he seems like a solid player. Hopefully he'll be in the Chelsea setup soon, but we don't know. But hey, in the meantime, until the game starts, well, until we get to stadium in a bit, I've got a trusty pint of Guinness here, and let's get on. And also, let's see if I can split this G first time, because it's been a while since being in Spain, and I haven't had a Guinness properly for a while. So hey, let's have a look. We missed it horrifically. Shocking. Well, anyway, I'll see you guys down back at the stadium in just a bit. So, currently on the way to the stadium. Don't know if you can hear, but there's a lot of singing behind me. But I just thought, need to show you guys this quickly on a booth. Let me cut to the other camera quickly. Look at that. What's that there? It's an Elche scarf. Elche scarf outside the Mestalla. Can't complain about that, can we? We are massive. Oh, I don't see one on this booth here though, unfortunately. But hey, I would not have thought I could see an Elche scarf saying we're First Division over here outside of Valencia Stadium, especially before a game like Villarreal. But hey, we can't complain. Let's get towards the stadium to see all of the fans. Well, hey. I can't believe it. I've had to walk away from the fans quickly, although I imagine you can still hear them just behind me because they are incredibly loud. But gosh, this is absolutely incredible. The Valencia fans have turned up in full force, and the atmosphere is incredible. I don't think I can put words to it how crazy this is. The fact that they're also fireworks, lovely, but the fact that the police are obviously here because it's a derby, and hey, I imagine nothing will happen, but you never know. It is football at the end of the day. These fireworks are incredible. I can just hear them, I can't see them, but they sound good. But no, yeah, the police have helmets on, so I'm starting to think they're riot police. And I wouldn't be surprised, only because of how lively and how incredible the fans are here. It's incredible. But the issue is, there's also police horses, and I do feel quite bad for them considering it's very loud. And I don't know if I've included this video or not, but there's a point where they're doing a chant, and it all goes silent, and then they start screaming again, and the horses got spooked that you'll see in the video. But gosh, this is incredible. And the fact that it's only 2 hours before kickoff. The stadium hasn't even opened for fans to get in yet. So I can't wait to see what it's like in the Mestalla, in the dome, where the sound will be it'll be a lot louder. But hey, next time you'll see me, guys, will hopefully be in my seat. So hey, let's bring on the match. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, we are into the Mestalla. Currently hoping that I've gone up the right bit, but we'll find out soon, because I really cannot be asked to walk anymore. So we'll find out. But I am very excited to be in here now finally. And I suppose you'll see me as I'm walking out to my seats to see what my view of the pitch is like. Come on. Alright then, I believe we are in the right bit. This should just be my gate behind me here. So let's see this together, because I'm excited. Oh my goodness, this is incredible. Wow. Wow, I tell you what, for €35, you can't complain with this view, can you? Crikey. Look at that, right behind the goal. Perfect view of the pitch, right behind the goal. I am getting even more giddy and giddy as we go. Wow, what a stadium this is, by the way. What a stadium. But hey, now, hopefully my finger didn't get in the way then. Hopefully now, all that's needed to be done is grab a drink and wait till kick-off. We'll see the players warm up and such, but yes, my next destination is this thing here. The bar. Alright then, I do look a bit sweaty. It is very hot here, but we have found our seat. This is our view of the pitch. It's not too shabby, although I definitely didn't make a mistake. I've got here an hour before kick-off, so it's not the end of the world. But grabbed my beer, completely forgot you can't buy beer inside football stadiums. So this is 0%. We will be going to the Coca-Cola later, or the water if I want some, because don't particularly fancy spending €3 on a 0% beer again. So it's not the end of the world, but let's have a look at some player spotting whilst we can. Oh, and first player spotted. I believe that's Big Iose Perez, who I don't know. He's incredible footballer. I very much like him. He should be in the Spain squad at some point. He's been playing marvellously the last couple of years, but we can't forget that Premier League stint as well. But yeah, Big Iose Perez gracing the turf of the Mestalla. Things I didn't think I'd see in my lifetime. All right then, you join me on a mission to see if I can get as close to the pitch as possible before kick-off. I don't know how the stewards will react or if they'll be annoyed about it, but I just want to see if I can get how close I can get before kick-off. So, welcome along to the mission. You'll see in the next clip if I either succeeded or failed at this challenge. So, goodness knows, you're in for a surprise either way. Well, we failed. Still in the seat. Went down, thought there was a entrance down to pitch side, but there wasn't. So that was a waste of time and unnecessary walking. But hey, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world at all. All that we're here for really is the football, and Jesus Christ, I'm sweating. That's not a penalty. I'm sorry, that's not a penalty. Wow. Well then, that was an eventful first half. I don't really know what to make of it. I was initially going to come in and say that both teams have been a bit well, just bog standard really. They were playing well, but they weren't playing as if it was a derby, if I'm going to be brutally honest. There was just a lot of just passing the ball around and not really doing much with it. There was no actual sort of want or desire to attack for a lot of that 45. Don't get me wrong, each team had I'd say Valencia had more chances and more spells of attacking dominance, but Villarreal just seemed to be jumping on the counter after each failed attack that Elche. Oh my goodness, I need to get this club out of my mind. Each attack that Valencia had, but up until that penalty, I'd argue it was probably predominantly Valencia's game there. But hey, that VAR call, that's football really. I personally didn't think it was a penalty. I thought that the player tripped up on his feet, but that's something to look at later really, because hey, the officials made their decision and that's their decision at the end of the day. But no, I'd say Villarreal's shape is really, really good. They seem to be their movement off the ball is incredible. But yeah, really, really good first half of football. But at the end of the day, it's anyone's game to win really. I could see either team scoring 2 or 3 goals in this game. So I'm excited to see what the second half has in store.
Moltes gràcies, afició.
Well, that's full time. That wasn't the best second half showing Valencia could have produced. To be honest, I felt the first 10-15 minutes, yeah, good on them. They came out fighting. They looked like they wanted to try and get an equaliser and win the game. But then after that, it all just seemed to have felt flat. It felt like nothing else was really going on there on the pitch, especially after Villarreal scored their second. I just don't have really any words on how I could describe that Elche. God, I need to stop saying Elche. I think about losing, I think about Elche, which is, I know shouldn't be the case, but after the last couple of seasons, it's just so normalised in my head, the two trains of thoughts. But honestly, I just felt Valencia were really, really wasteful with everything in the final third. Their passing, their attacks, it just felt like players were just trying to take credit, trying to get goal scoring opportunities. They weren't actually thinking about, hey, can we score a goal from this? They were just like, right, let me just take a shot straight away. And it was just, I think it was just an all-round awful performance in the second half, really, for Valencia. But hey, you win some. But yeah, you win some and you lose some. And unfortunately, today was a big loss, especially for the derby day. I was expecting a lot more from Valencia really in that than what was shown today in the game. But hey, that's football really. I was pleasantly surprised with the reception Danny Pereira got off the bench for Villarreal. That was, yeah, I didn't expect everyone to be standing up applauding and screaming for just screaming Danny Pereira's name. There seems to be no love lost there. They all seem to be still behind their club captain from years ago. Well, got kicked out of the seats. Quite rightly so, to be fair, if they want to close up. But still, just, yeah, really surprised by the reception Pereira got when he came on. But to be honest, it's just a bit of an awful game, really, from Valencia's side. It was a good game to watch. I would watch it again, couldn't complain. But, yeah, I don't know if at the end you all saw the protests of all the fans towards the current owner of the club, which I found really, really intriguing, really insightful. Wow, I knew they weren't happy with their owner, but that was different. That was bad. But yes, no. Yeah, it's really intriguing. But hey, I suppose let's get back home, where I do a full proper thoughts of the match and thoughts of everything surrounding the game day, really. So I'll see you guys back at home. Well, there we go. It's been a couple of days after the match. Overall, yeah, it was a really good game. I felt like a lot of the thoughts that I had surrounding everything, obviously heat at the moment, just what comes to mind. But having a couple of days to think about it all, you know what? The Valencia performance, even though I was saying how bad it was live at that moment in time, looking back at it, hey, they played well. They did play well. It wasn't an awful performance by any standards. They were just a bit wasteful with their shooting, unfortunately. And like I don't know if I said earlier, but they just, every time they seem to get in the final third, they either try to pass it too much, or one player would try and just be a ball hog, would try and take all of the glory for himself. So that was their main issues. And unfortunately, the way Villarreal was set up, their squad was all set up superbly well. The 11 were incredible spatially. And they were just able to attack Valencia straight on the counter, straight away. They didn't have to build anything up. It was as if Valencia either fumble up, so miss pass, boom, go straight to the left back for Valencia. He then sends it up to Danjuma, for example, on the wing. And then he just goes for it. He just manages to skip past a couple of defenders and then lay it off to Gerard Moreno, Iosi Perez, or the Georgian forward, which I'm not going to try and pronounce his name. It's like Makiduze or something. But yeah, used to play in the French league, was really good during the last Euros. But no, it just felt as if the whole structure of the game seems to be heavily favoured for Villarreal. And hey, looking back at the VAR call, which led to the first goal from the penalty from Gerard Moreno, I think realistically it's one of those 50-50s, and if the referee decides to give a penalty, in which he did, he was most likely justified. It just looks like at first glance that the Villarreal player had just tripped up on his feet, and that was it. But it's not really the end of the world. It was a really good game to watch. The atmosphere before the game was amazing. The Valencia fans really showed up. It's just a shame that atmosphere and from the fan support going into the derby match wasn't sort of followed on by the actual team performance during the game. But hey, you win some, you lose some. They lost some. It's not the end of the world. Well, for me personally, because obviously not a Valencia fan or a Villarreal fan. But yeah, I did find it. I know I waffled on a bit earlier just before this about the owners and all of the protests after the game with all the banners. But I do think it's been going on for a couple of years from what I believe. And hey, the fans have their right to say what they want to say about how the club's being ran and how the owners are doing it and everything. And you know what? They're fully justified. If it wasn't a good performance by the club, and you would expect for a derby
to be having that level of, hey, we're here to win, which it just never felt like they were. So I don't know if that's just either, I know having got the owners, it may just be for a lack of investment. There may be other reasons. I'm honestly not 100% sure. Probably should have clued up on it a bit more before starting this outro and match thoughts. But hey, it's not about the match. So what's the end of the world? We can always, next Valencia game I go and watch, we can always have a little bit in there about the owners and the situation of the club. But that wasn't the point of today's video. The point of today's video was to go experience the derby. And hey, it was an incredible experience. I loved it. So yeah, thank you for watching another one. I know this one's been a lot longer than the last vlog, match day vlog. But hey, there was just a lot going on and probably a lot of waffle on my end. But I will see you guys in the next one soon. Thank you and goodbye.